And welcome to Habs Unfiltered, episode 170. I'm your host, Blaine Pudvey. I'm joined now by my co-hosts, Matt Smith.
Good evening.
And Treg Wilson.
Hello.
All three together again. We delayed recording a little bit so that we can make sure Matt is here after a extremely long shift of spinning chairs and throwing things.
Pretty much. Things were thrown, but there wasn't very much chair spinning today.
He also had to deal with his OnlyFan, so
yeah.
Before coming on, so.
He was being harassed by his OnlyFan. He turned off his fan. Yeah. All right, so I guess Game 4 is come and gone. The Canadiens must have been swept because just like in every other series they've been in. You know, first round, instant sweep. Second round, same thing. Third, and now in the final. It's weird. Swept again. I don't know how they do it.
Tampa just lost, so the mayor can have her wish and they can win the Stanley Cup.
Okay. I was going to bring that up. May as well just jump right into the episode and start there, seeing as how you brought it up. So the Tampa mayor said, hey, lose game 4, come home and win it for us. And now she just said in front of everybody, while talking about an emergency measures for a tropical storm that's hitting Tampa Bay right now, that it's nice to see the guys back, whether the game is delayed or not. It's nice to see them back for the last game of the playoffs.
So she's doubling down.
So I don't know if Tampa's mayor has heard about the hockey gods and the vengeful karma that they bring, but I would just say if I were a Tampa Bay fan, which I'm not, so I'm saying keep going, but I know Tampa Bay fans are all saying, shut up. She is really not helping them.
If it helps us out, I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Anything to get those 3,500 fans back at the Bell Center.
That's right.
And for those who are not watching, I said 3,500 in air quotes because, come on, that did not look like 3,500.
So you just moved everybody down to the 100s and the 200s.
Yeah, which still holds 10,000. It was pretty much half full. So
it was the lights. It wasn't people.
Totally
there were lights and holograms.
Lights.
Yeah.
They were flashing. Made it look like people were moving around.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
What I would like to know
cardboard cutouts
is when they bring in guys like Lafleur and Waugh and Cornway and all those guys, do they count as the 3,500?
No. They're not people. They're legends. They don't count as people because
I will
they're
consider
legends.
myself not people if I can go to a game. I will
Or
say
have
that I am
we're legends.
Exactly. I will say that I am a meat popsicle.
A meat popsicle.
Fifth Element reference.
Yeah.
On OnlyFans right now, Matt's posing as a meat popsicle. If you want to go check it out,
99 cents. That's all it takes.
It's the cheapest OnlyFans on the market.
All right, so Tampa's mayor is causing Tampa Bay fans and the Lightning themselves fits. Game 5, I mean, that's in jeopardy of not happening on time because of the tropical storm. So we'll see what happens there. But we'll go on as if it's going to happen because who knows, right? It's not like
nothing has said otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like they need to have fans in the building to have an NHL game, which they've proven over the last year and a half. Although I'm pretty sure Tampa Bay would want to have their fans there just on the off chance that they could win that game. Really, like in brutal honesty. All right, so let's see. the next step. Before we get into game 3, there was some chatter on Twitter, and I don't know if this was real or if some prankster is trying to troll Habs Twitter or not, but someone asked if the Canadiens end up losing to Tampa. A suggestion has been made that we hold a Stanley Cup parade anyway as a way to salute the team for a great season when they almost won the cup. Does anyone like that idea? And that was actually floated out.
I'm trying to think. Oh, the guy who just said that, he's for CJAN or something like that.
Yeah, local radio station.
Mark Dumont came out and said there was no suggestion made for that. None whatsoever. So there's been no suggestions made. There's been no whatever, right? So I don't know if this guy's making the suggestion himself.
I think so.
So having said that, there will be no parade. That would be just stupid. And the Montreal Canadiens do not hang up banners in the rafters that say we almost won.
There are no conference championship banners. And if you do end up downtown after the Canadiens come home, whether they win or lose, just line up along St. Catherine and someone will hand you a participation ribbon. Because that's basically what that is. Yes, the Canadiens gave the fans an amazing season, a magical run, which has rekindled hope and possibly even rekindled the faith that the team could actually do something. So, yeah, that's great. But they didn't win. They just made the cup final, which is something 29 other teams wish they could have done.
Yeah, exactly. And doesn't really, I mean, you got to look at this season as the regular season's one season, the playoffs are a second season. Yeah, I know you're getting all the Leaf trolls going on. Well, they finished 18th. They shouldn't have made it, or they're only there because of price. I don't care why they're there. And I don't think you as a Leafs fan or a fan of any team should care how your team got to the playoffs. The point is they made the playoffs. And then once you get to the playoffs, you're starting from zero again. So it's not like
but Anderson didn't score as many goals as some random person picked from another team's roster. I don't know, for comparison reasons, for no reason whatsoever.
But is that person that he's being compared to scoring overtime goals in the Stanley Cup Finals right now?
Well, obviously not.
Well, then that's all that matters.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, this whole, I don't know. I don't even know what we're talking about right now. This whole narrative of
participation ribbons
and all this, you either win or you don't. You can be proud of your team for making it as far as they did. You can be proud of your team for what they've done, considering they should never have been there. Oh, wow. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. Considering most people never thought they should be there, because a lot of people, including me and you, Blaine, had them being beaten by the Leafs in the first round. Not Matt, though. Matt had them going.
I've stuck with them the whole time.
But Montreal's not, I mean, I don't know. There are teams that do hang banners up for
conferences and stuff.
But Montreal's just not one of them. They either hang up retired jerseys and Stanley Cup banners, and that's it. Period.
Yep.
They don't have parades for we almost did it. So I'm sorry, but participation ribbons and trophies are stupid.
If you really want to have a fan grouping to show the team appreciation for what they have done, if the Canadiens lose in Tampa Bay, when they fly back, have a crowd outside the airport.
Cheer them as they come in.
Cheer them as they come in.
Yeah,
they'll appreciate that. It's not as ostentatious as a friggin' parade for not winning something.
Yeah. Oh, how about this? If they win or lose, don't destroy the city.
You're asking a lot.
I know. I'm asking a lot. We don't want another You know,
Vancouver.
because we're not going to go, because this isn't going to be like a Vancouver light. Like Montreal fans are going to do a hell of a lot more damage than Vancouver ever could, right? So,
Well, first of all, it's not the fans; it's the degenerates that go in amongst the fans.
It's very
so.
true. However, it only takes a couple of them to have Habs jerseys on, and it looks bad on the whole fan base.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
Because no
anybody's
one
like-
in Montreal no one in Montreal wears Habs jerseys for no reason
well, there you go. Exactly.
ever.
So yeah, to all our listeners, if you're in Montreal or plan to be in Montreal,
Wear a Leafs jersey when you buy it.
don't destroy your city. It's a beautiful city.
Well, this is the advice I give my young sailors when they start wanting to date their coworkers. Don't shit where you eat. If you don't go burn down your home to spite someone or to celebrate. That is the dumbest thing that you could possibly do. The second dumbest thing is to date someone you work with directly, because it rarely works out.
Especially if you're married.
Yeah, your spouse would get really angry if you start dating.
I just had to break the silence that we're all having there.
All right, so moving on from that, from the public service announcements of Matt to game 4, overtime, big win. Clearly, everyone in the hockey world expected the Montreal Canadiens to pull out the big win there. That's why, they had the Stanley Cup polish. That's why Sportsnet was doing nothing but talking about Tampa Bay and how great they are. So,
Sweep.
the only thing I have to say is I hope that you have receipts so you can return those brooms you bought.
I think the only
Sportsnet.
only people really calling for a sweep or saying the sweep was going to happen was Leaf fans. Really, it's the only ones you heard from.
You know who wasn't saying sweep? Tampa fans, like actual Tampa fans.
They weren't. They were like, "Hey, we're not taking anything. We would like it, but we're not taking anything for granted." They were doing what any rational fan or fan of a team, especially one involved in the game, would say. Because, like you said earlier, the hockey gods and their karma.
Yeah, we had some Canadians fans that were like, well, fuck this team because they took Kotkaniemi out, so I hope they get swept.
Oh my God!
Right?
Well,
we're going to get into that.
And we'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. But to the game itself, it really didn't start that well. The first 12, 13 minutes, Canadians had one shot on net, and Tampa looked like they were just gonna steamroll the Canadians.
It was kind of reminding me of game 2, only to Tampa's advantage than Montreal's. Tampa, the whole game, Tampa outplayed Montreal. I think the shot
overall, but there were moments.
Second period, Montreal had a really good second period, but
they got unlucky, which we'll get to. I've got something to say about the goal that was scored in the second period, but the Canadians were getting steamrolled early, and for some reason they were still in the game, and I can't put my finger on it. I think it rhymes with Harry Rice.
Larry Bice.
Say nice.
Ask thrice.
So Carey Price clearly kept the Canadians in the game. It was
Should have played Allen.
Yeah, should have played Allen. Oh my God, we're overpaying this guy. Oh.
Wait, scrolls back Twitter 2 weeks ago. Carey Price is a god. Anyway, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Tired of Habs social media. It's terrible. It's toxic.
It's only a handful of people that jump around based on how the game is going at a specific moment.
What have you done for me right now? That's what they are.
Yeah, exactly. So Carey Price kept them in the game. He was making big saves. He was helping to clear the zone again. Tampa Bay's adjustments in the first 3 games to keep the puck away from Carey Price were working. But for some reason, the puck was ending up where Carey can play the puck. And that helped them start to break out. And it ended up generating a wonderful chance up ice thanks to a 21-year-old first-line centerman. Nick Suzuki magically created a goal.
Yeah, Kulak looked really good on that too.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Kulak had an up and down game, I thought. Like I don't know if we're going to get into
did.
the dynamics of the game, but
Yeah.
he looked off at some times, and other times he looked like one of the best skaters out there on the ice. So
Yeah.
he had a really anyway, Blade, I don't know if you're getting into this dynamics of the game.
We were going to, but sure, we can get to that. We can talk about Suzuki and all that after. We can start with Kulak. And I thought Kulak, overall, had a good game. Like he played the game the way you wanted your third pairing defender to play. He was reliable enough at 5-on-5. He was able to give you predictable levels of puck movement and defensive play. Obviously he was outmatched on a couple of occasions against better competition, but for a third pairing guy, you could trust him to play upwards of 15 minutes, which was more than you can say for Gustafsson and Merrill.
Yeah. Merrill wasn't that bad. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't.
But he was all defense and no puck movement.
Correct. Gustin was all puck movement and no defense. So they kind of just off-kiltered themselves. At least
if they were a married couple, they'd be perfect.
At least Kulak and Romanov gave you a little bit of both.
Exactly.
Instead of, and Romanov actually had some big minutes. He actually played, 13 minutes, I think? I'd have to look it up.
12, 16.
Yeah.
I heard he scored a goal too. I heard a rumor that he scored a goal.
Well, I think everyone that got inserted in that lineup, but Kulak ended up getting a point. Evans got an assist. Romanov got a goal. Anderson got moved to the top line. No, he didn't do anything in the playoffs. So,
hey, what was it last episode? I think one of us said that Anderson should play on the left wing with Suzuki and Caufield. Was that with us? I'm pretty sure
yes.
that was it.
I think some guy, a handsome bearded guy with a hat. Well, you said the Anderson thing.
I wasn't on the show, but I'm like,
there's the handsome bearded guy with the hat right there.
I said the Romanov Kulak thing. Right here, people. I'm going to pat myself on the back for 20 minutes, like some other podcasts that you may listen to. But
let's be brutally honest. I think pretty much everybody was saying play Romanov.
Yeah, but I called Kulak. But we didn't know if he was actually going to play, because even the lineup, when the skate first started in the morning, Gustin but then again, all they did was practice the power play, and they got one. Again, something we talked about on last show. Why bother practicing all day for the power play? We only get 1 or 2 power plays.
And didn't I predict? I predicted 1 power play for the Canadians and 4 for Tampa Bay, because obvious reasons. And that's what happened. And that's probably what's going to happen in Game 5.
I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but it does seem awful. And I kind of wonder if there was another Canadian team in the finals, it would be the same way.
Probably.
I honestly do believe, and I may get in shit with this from the hockey writers or something. I honestly do believe Bettman does not want Canadian teams to do well in the NHL playoffs.
That could be it, or it could just be because the referees suck.
Just the teams that are stacked with Canadian players.
No, Bettman said they have the best officiators of any sport in the world, and even last night he doubled down and said they are rarely wrong.
Speaking of rarely wrong, Tampa Bay's first goal. Yes, Kulak and the Funky Bunch got themselves stuck on the ice after a penalty kill. They were out there a little too long. It happens. But Maroon interfered with one of the defenders,
That was the second
knocking
goal.
him. Oh, that was the second goal?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. They were both shit. But that goal there, he interfered with the defender, went in on a 2-on-1. And then when you're watching it, you're like, geez, I could have sworn I counted 6 players wearing white jerseys. One of them, no, maybe I was mistaken. That had to have been, a referee way down, further down the ice. There's no way they missed an interference call and too many men on the ice, because that would just be way too obvious. And no, that's what happened. So it's not a conspiracy, but best officials, no. Shit happens.
Shit
Bad
happens.
calls happens.
I don't
Things get
mind-
missed.
I don't mind officiating if it goes both ways. If you're not going to call interference on one team, don't call it on the other. If you're not going to call slashing, don't call it on the other. What I don't get is last night you had. What I don't get about officiating is all the crap they do after a whistle. Rarely ever gets called.
Yeah.
You push a guy with your stick in front of the net, and it's a cross-checking penalty.
But they called it. They threw 6 guys in the box.
That one time, yes. But what I'm saying is, if you watch any NHL game, I watch probably a million NHL games in my lifetime, right? And all this stuff after the whistle, referees point, yell, and do whatever. Guys are punching each other in the face or hitting each other in the face with the sticks. Nothing's called. And then you push a guy, you put your stick on his stick in an aggressive manner and don't even hit the guy but hit his stick, and it's a slashing penalty.
Yeah.
Either you got to revamp the rules or you got to reschool. The issue with refereeing is there's no accountability. I don't care what Bettman said last night about accountability. There's no accountability to referees.
There's none.
There's absolutely
There will
zero.
be, if they want Vegas money for betting and the gambling money that the other major leagues in North America get. If they want to cut of that action, there's going to have to be accountability for the officials. I'm not calling officials out for poor work or conspiracies or Bettman wanting one team to win over another. No, I just think all the officials aren't that good. So if the NHL wants betting money, they got to improve. And the best way to improve is through accountability. If you officiate a poor game, you don't get another one. Simple as that. And then the cream rises to the top. Anyway, moving on from that trash, back to the game 4. Matt, what did you see in game 4 that you feel would benefit the Canadians to continue doing into game 5?
Shea Weber just being absolutely fierce.
But he's over the hill and useless.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
But you saw, excuse me, you saw how the energy that he played with, and just how fierce he was playing, and the hits he was throwing, and you could tell he gave a shit. And I think not only him being the captain, but being a veteran player in a situation where he's never been before, etc. When he took that penalty at the end of the game, you could see it in his eyes, and you could see it in the eyes of his teammates that they were going to kill this off for him, and they did, because he felt
said it after the game.
Yeah, because you can tell he just felt awful about it. Yeah. But if you can get a guy like Weber to play like that and put that kind of spark into his team, which we saw with, for instance, here's the stat line for the night. He played 23-51. Obviously, he took that double minor. He had 5 blocks, 4 hits, which I think he had a hell of a lot more than that. And he was a +1. But you look at guys like Sherratt, and Sherratt's been having a pretty good playoff as well. He had 9 hits last night. And I think that, you look at the Canadians right now, especially their defense that are playing, for the most part, they're playing injured. And I think that they played a very solid game. And I know we're going to get into the lineup changes in a few minutes, but I wouldn't make any changes to this lineup. I think that what Ducharme brought to the table, I think it worked out. He talked very well about the Jake Evans line and the fact that, he can play them up against any line, and it kind of showed last night that he could. And yeah, for me, if your captain's playing the way that he's playing, I think it's gonna it just brings that level of energy throughout your lineup.
So you wouldn't want to bring Kotkaniemi back into the lineup?
It's who would you take out though? That's the thing. At this point, who would you take out?
No one.
Well, I mean, you
Right?
could have said the same thing about
I'm not
Evans.
gonna break up that fourth line. Right? I'm not gonna break up that fourth line. They talked about the Evans line being able to play against anybody, and we saw them play against the McDavid line a little bit before the end of the season. And they played with pace, they played with energy, they were in on the forecheck, etc. Like Evans played 16:46, Lehkonen played 16:12, and Byron played 16:26. So, those are third line numbers or whatever. They were killing penalties, etc. Like, as much as I like Kotkaniemi, right now there's no spot in the lineup for him. He's the only person, like I said, who are you going to take out? And I wouldn't break up the fourth line, as I said.
And playing devil's advocate, you bring up the point that Ducharme brought up on wanting to renew that line that covered McDavid so well in the regular season.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that, why not bring back the top possession line over the last 2 years in the NHL and put Tatar back in the lineup so that he can rekindle that line?
Yeah.
Because Tatar doesn't do anything in the playoffs and he disappears. He's not the same player in the playoffs as he is in the regular season.
At which I do not argue whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with that.
There's definitely an argument to be made, and a lot of people were calling for Tatar to be put in the lineup for the offense, and for Kulak to come in and Romanov to come in and to play Jake Allen and all these just major changes. And with the lineup they've got right now, I wouldn't make an adjustment.
I mean, if we're being honest with Kotkaniemi, he has not played well this series at all.
Well, you could say that about pretty much everyone.
You can play that against. You can say that against multiple players.
Yeah.
You can say that against multiple players, and it's like Ducharme said, I'm not taking my wingers out to put Evans in, right? I'm not breaking up the fourth line because that fourth line actually keeps the puck in the offensive zone more than any other line on the ice. He's not, Toffoli's not coming out. Anderson's not coming out. Lehkonen, Byron, none of those guys are coming out. So it's either Evans or Kotkaniemi. Personally, to my own opinion, Evans and Kotkaniemi are interchangeable to me. You can use one or the other. Evans brings you a little bit more defense. He can kill penalties, and with the amount of penalties that Montreal has been getting in this series, maybe it does make more sense to have Evans out there because you have that extra body on the penalty kill. But then again, Kotkaniemi is an extra body on the power play, which you don't get much of. But
yeah, it just seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it just seems that in this playoff, or at least so far, in a game that Evans is in the lineup, Ducharme will favor him over Kotkaniemi, even if he's in the lineup.
He trusts him more. It's clear. And to your point, to your question of who would you take out, why not take out Lehkonen? You could take Lehkonen out and put Kotkaniemi in. Lehkonen had the lowest expected goals for in that game at just under 14%. The lowest. So you could make an argument that Kotkaniemi can easily slot into the lineup in his stead. You can keep him on the wing, or you can move Evans to the wing, and you end up with about the same look.
Well, was he taking out Kotkaniemi? He wasn't bringing Evans in to create more offense. He was moving Anderson up to create the offense and bringing Evans in to have more balanced defense.
To create another shutdown line.
another shutdown line. So really, the XGF wouldn't have mattered. Stat wouldn't have really mattered because he wasn't looking for more goals. Yeah, I see what you're saying, and that's why I'm saying to me they're interchangeable. Evans and Kotkaniemi interchangeable. I can see Lehkonen coming out, but again, you're losing another PK guy, and with the amount of PKs that we're getting,
Valid point.
do you want to lose another PK guy?
But to further this discussion, I'll put out another point that we could take a look at. And Kotkaniemi was a 3rd overall pick. He is supposedly a cornerstone player for the Canadians in the long term. It's obvious Suzuki is going to be a star player, and they're going to rely on him heavily.
Which they have
already, and we'll talk about him in a bit. But Kotkaniemi is supposed to be that other center that they rely on, the big physical 2-way centerman that they're looking for to play in that the 2C. So, aren't these games the kind of games you want him dressed for, even if he's on a wing, playing with Evans at center? Do you not want him playing?
I want whatever lineup's going to get me the Stanley Cup. Period. And if I'm the coach and I trust Evans more than I trust Kotkaniemi, then no. Kotkaniemi should not cut. In my overall opinion, this should be Kotkaniemi's first year in the NHL. Period.
But it's not.
It's not.
And,
so I have no issue with what they're doing with Kotkaniemi. Kotkaniemi has proved time and time again he doesn't have the consistency yet.
So, with Evans being brought in as to lead a shutdown line, a second one, do you think that points to? And I'm going to ask Matt this question: do you think that points to Danault being allowed to walk away because they're going to trust Evans in a shutdown role at center?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think that Evans is more or less being groomed for a 4th line position that can play up the lineup if need be.
But if he's brought in instead of what is supposed to be a cornerstone centerman,
I agree.
It seems like it's more of it's a larger role that they're grooming him for than just 4th line.
Hard to say. You know how Bergevin is. He's
enigmatic.
He's shifty.
Enigmatic.
Yeah.
I like the word enigmatic. It sounds fancy and mysterious. Ooh.
Like the Joker.
Which one though? Like,
I think he's more
the
like
Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
I think he's more like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Is it because of the suit or because he likes to dance?
The hair, the fact he dances, everything. It's all the same. I think it's the same person. I don't think Joaquin Phoenix actually played the Joker. I think it was Mark Bergevin.
You know, you've never seen the two together at the same time.
No, you have not.
This is a documentary that Jay Baruchel should.
I was just thinking Jay Bear. I thought we should ask Jay Baruchel. He would know.
He would be perfect for putting this together.
I going back to your question, I kind of agree with you. I think they're grooming Evans to see what's Danault going to ask for. If it's too much for what they want to pay, they're going to let him walk.
And the reason I went down this path is to kind of set the stage to explain why I don't think it's a huge issue that Kotkaniemi didn't get in for a game or two in the Stanley Cup final. I think it sucks, especially for him, because he's one of the top scoring centermen, 20 and under, in NHL history in the playoffs. He brings a lot more to the team in the playoffs than people really give him credit for. He really does. And personally, I would have him in. But with the way the team is going in the future, especially cap-wise, having Evans showing that he can take on larger roles, I think that's a silver lining that people can take a look at. If we're going to have like positive vibes only, like we've been putting out on Twitter, hoping for the team to do something, I think that's one way we can look at it in a positive manner.
I mean, you also got to look at where is Ryan Poehling at in his development. Where do they see him next year?
I honestly think they see him as an NHL center next year.
And that's where you got to look at. So you can't have Suzuki, Kotkaniemi, Evans, Poehling, and Deneau. That's 5. That's 5 centers.
And that's kind of the path I'm seeing.
Right. So you're either pushing Poehling to the wing, right?
Which he looked like shit doing last time.
Or you're looking at what he did in Laval and going, hey, wait a minute, this guy actually does have the potential we thought he had. He could be a good 3rd or 4th line center. Now what are we doing with Jake Evans and Deneau?
So, we can all say we can all agree it kind of sucks not to see Kotkaniemi in the lineup. But if the team wins, they're not going to change that lineup. They should have changed this lineup after a game 2 loss. Even though they played extremely well in game 2, they should have made some kind of lineup change. So here we are. This is pretty much what's going to be in the next game. And sticking to that, we talked a little bit about Romanov. We talked about Anderson a little bit. I want to get back to that. I want to start with the Suzuki line. I've mentioned it before that I felt that Suzuki's line is a number 1 line in the NHL already. Suzuki, Caufield together with Toffoli was a number 1 line. Take Toffoli off, you throw Anderson in, still a number 1 line. I think Anderson brings a different dimension than Toffoli does, and we saw it. In game 4. What did we see? Did we see an $11 million player?
And Suzuki?
No, well, eventually, yeah, but I'm talking about Anderson.
The way style Anderson plays, he's going to get you your 20, 25, maybe 30 goals, but he's not going to get you 70, 80 points.
He's a Cy Young scorer. He's going to get 25 goals and 10 assists.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Because Anderson was not signed to 5.5 million points to score 60, 70 points. Or $5.5 million for 60, 70 points. He gave him $5.5 million to provide 25 to 30 goals to check a lot of people and play solid 2-way hockey.
Play a power forward game.
Correct.
There are so few true power forwards in the NHL. To have one in your lineup, you got to use him properly. And like I mentioned in the last episode, having him playing as off wing is the perfect thing, especially when he's shown that he's been crashing the net a lot, especially against Tampa in this series. When you're crashing to the net, when you're on your off wing, it opens up more of the net. And we saw that with the first goal of the game that Caufield didn't assist on. It wasn't in overtime, so he didn't assist it. He was open. The whole net was open to him on his shot because he was coming in off his off wing. Suzuki laid it out perfectly for him, tape to tape, for him to bury it. So, come on. We got a 1C right there. Who steps up his game in the playoffs? People pay a lot of money for those guys. And there he is on an entry-level deal.
Well, he should be on a... Bergevin's smart. He'll sign him to a long-term deal in the offseason. ASAP.
Yeah, he's got 1 more year under his entry-level contract, so he should be eligible for an extension after the UFA season reopens.
And you guarantee Tom Dundon's waiting in the weeds to throw an offer sheet on somebody.
Well, no, he would have to spend money.
He just bought out all his minority owners of the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, with Chick-fil-A coupons.
NASCAR tickets.
The guy is so bitter, he's throwing a hurricane at Tampa Bay. He's that upset about the offer sheet. He decided he's going to throw a hurricane at Tampa Bay.
And the fact Tampa Bay scored a winning goal with 6 players on the ice.
Against his team.
Against his team.
Yeah. Seems to be a running theme with these guys. They're just that good.
Yeah.
Hey, again, there is no cap limit on the number of players on the ice. All right. So to Caufield. Matt, you know what I'm getting at when it comes to Caufield and how clutch he is. You want to give our listeners a little idea what we're getting at?
For me, he's just bursting with confidence right now. I don't have that stat. If you're asking for that stat,
that's I was setting you up. Yeah,
I know you're asking for that. I have a Romanov stat and I have a Price stat. I do not have a Caufield stat right now.
You're talking about the fact that he's the youngest player to have 3 primary assists in overtime or something like that, or
yeah. He had
And
the
in one
overtime
set.
assist that helped the Habs sweep the Jets. He had the overtime assist that helped the Habs win game 4 to get them back into the series against Toronto. And he had the overtime assist on Anderson's overtime goal in the Stanley Cup final.
it's not bad for a guy who has one-dimensional and all he can do is score goals.
Yes. And he's going to get destroyed. He's too small to play in the NHL, especially in the playoffs. On a long playoff run there, it's impossible he would survive.
I mean, the kid got what, 12 points in 16 playoff games or something like that. I gotta look it up.
19.
Well,
He's played 19 so far.
Yeah. So Suzuki has 16 points in 21 playoff games this season.
Caufield has 12 and 19.
12 and 19. There you go.
So that's not bad for a guy who's never officially played his rookie season in the NHL yet.
That's right.
Yeah, so the first rookie in NHL history with 3 OT points in a single postseason.
Yeah.
You guys broke down obviously where they came from. So
Yeah.
primary assist in the Jets, primary OT in this one, and then the comeback against the Leafs.
So for me, what that points to is that Caufield has offensive abilities, but he's not the guy that's going to be padding stats
No,
when the
he's
game's
not,
out of hand.
at the same time, he's not a one-trick pony because everyone said he was just a goal scorer.
Yeah,
which isn't a bad thing to have, but I can see him being a guy that it's going to give you 30 goals, but he's still going to be able to, give you 20, 25 assists as well. He might even score more goals. We'll see. And we've seen it already that he's put some dents in a couple posts this postseason. So the guy's confidence just building game after game, and defenders are starting to take him a little bit more serious.
And it's not just the points. Like, it's not like he's putting up like 4 or 5 points in a game when the game's out of hand or whatever. He's getting points when the game matters. He's getting, when you need a goal to get back in the game, he gets you one. You need a goal to win a game, he gets you one. I mean, he scored 2 overtime. His first 2 NHL goals were overtime winners. This kid, he's just starting his career, and already you can see that he's got that it factor, that he's got that something else, that little special thing that makes players want to raise their game when it matters most.
He had as many goals as Nick Robertson in the AHL.
But he only played 2 games.
Just saying, facts are facts.
And in those 2 games, he scored both game winners.
Yeah, one in overtime.
Which just continues to prove my point. This kid is going to be a special player for the Canadiens.
Paired up with Nick Suzuki, I think we have the makings, and if Anderson does work out on that top line, I think we have the makings of probably one of our best lines in 30 years.
So you put Toffoli there, you put Anderson there, you could put
put
name a
anyone
player.
there.
That pairing will be your top line.
And it's going to do great, I think.
So moving to game 5, we're going to, we're running a bit long here. So we'll just get to game 5. So we'll pretend it happens. Matt, you've mentioned something you'd like to see. What do you think the Canadiens have to avoid?
They need to stay disciplined. You can't play with fire that much. And I know when Weber took that penalty, I know my head dropped pretty hard. and just like he just did when he went to the box. This is like they're playing incredible on the penalty kill, but at the same time, you look at, I don't know what the stats at now for Tampa, but I'll say ballpark, they're above 35%, which is very high. Yes, Montreal's got a 92%, 93%, whatever the hell it is now after last night. Penalty kill, they just can't rely on it that much. So for
Well, they've
me,
only allowed 2 power play goals against in this series.
Still, they can't rely just on Carey Price. Carey Price's numbers in elimination games are phenomenal, and I've got them here. So far in this playoff, he's 4-0 with a 1.85 goals against and a 944 save. But you don't want to ride Carey Price throughout the rest of this series, how many ever games it's going to go. And you don't want to ride the big four defensemen that much, killing penalties, blocking shots, etc. Because it's just going to get to the point where they're going to be wore down, and when the game matters the most, you got to have to rely on your 5-6 guys a little bit. That's where your mistakes are going to happen.
I feel it's all of that is I agree with, but for me the bigger aspect of it would be when the Canadians are finally getting something going, and then they take a dumb penalty or a penalty is called. You're handing the momentum right back to a team that knows what to do with it.
Yeah.
They may not score on that power play, but now they got the legs under them. They're going to put an energy line out right after. Now you've been stuck in your zone for 3-4 shifts, and the percentages are they're going to score eventually. So you don't want to hand that momentum right back. Treg, what about you?
I think they need to find a way to shut down the gourd line. If you really look at all the stats in the Stanley Cup Finals, it hasn't been the Kucherov point. It hasn't been their top guys. It's been their third and fourth lines that are scoring on Montreal. The problem is Montreal has their best defenders out against the top line or the top 2 lines. And then when these guys come out, Montreal's already penned in their area, and they're just a go line. And that's the strength of Tampa Bay. The depth in Tampa Bay is just too strong. It's too deep. But you're absolutely right. They got to get pucks in deep and go to the net, create some space.
110%.
Get some bodies in front of the net, and 110%. But
you just don't know what's going to happen out there.
Take some trappers to the nose. Take one for the team.
You got to bleed for the boys. Get out there and you do your best and you bleed for the guy next to you.
I mean that goal that was scored is probably the top of my list there. Yeah, probably one of the big ones there. I'll remember that forever. It was all Hayes. But no, honestly, I mean, seriously, what they got to do is they got to find a way to, and I think that's why, going back to what we talked about earlier, they brought in that Evans line, because they're hoping, because they need an extra line to shut down an extra line.
Yeah.
And so far it worked last game. Just got to keep giving her.
Yeah, target the star players.
Yeah.
Doing what they were doing on point in that last game.
And I still think they need to get more bodies in front of the net.
That too.
So
yeah, they're having a hard time getting traffic in front. I mean, even if you just get one guy going to the front of the net, you're going to take a defender with you. So there's 2 bodies in front of Vasilevsky. Yeah. Now he's still going to fight to see the puck, and he is one of the best in the world at doing it. But you'll notice that when he's doing it, he's looking above and over. So he's outstretched. He's got a hand on a shoulder. He's looking over top the player. When you see a play like that happen, shoot low. Just shoot low. He might get down in time and create a rebound because he won't be able to control it, or it'll go in or something, but you got a guy there for a rebound. So you take advantage of those. And when you mention the gourd line, I think the big adjustment of bringing in Romanov and Kulak, I think that really helped in neutralizing the impact of that line, because they were feasting off that third pair. And with Kulak, he's able to skate the puck out of danger. We saw it many, many times. Yes, he made a mistake and it ended up in the net.
We also
But-
noticed the fact that they could play that line together.
And
They can play them together.
going back to that goal, I think the mistake is more by Toffoli. I find Toffoli takes too much time trying to figure out what to do with the puck, and then he ends up losing it. Although Kulak, it was a comedy of errors. It wasn't that goal wasn't just on Kulak.
Comedy
pinched-
of errors. It was not funny.
I'm
I'm offended. I'm offended.
When aren't you francophone? When aren't you offended?
When you're buying me drinks. Hello.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Tabarnak.
Tabernacle Steve. But so I mean, I'm not going to blame that goal solely on Kulak because Toffoli wasted too much time at that blue line trying to figure out what the hell he was going to do with that puck.
Yeah, and my point is that he's not perfect. There's a reason he's a third pairing guy.
Yeah.
But he provides more on the third pairing than just a one-dimensional aspect of the game. He can
Correct.
play some defense, he can play some offense, and he's excellent at transition.
And like Matt said, you can actually play that pair together and not
Rest
really
your
have to
top
worry
four.
too much about it. Yeah. Which they
Well,
did
Yeah.
last night, especially when two of the top four were sitting in the box for like 6 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. So when Perry and Schrott were in the box, they had to give Romanov more ice time. And it just so happened that Romanov scored when he was given that ice time. So, they can do it. So I think the biggest key here is that the Canadians they just have to play with that desperation they played against Toronto when their backs are against the wall, that they played with at the end throughout Game 4. If they can do that, then I think they can have one more game in Montreal.
But I think if they go back to Montreal, they're going to win there too, because no other team has won the cup in Montreal except for the Calgary Flames in 1989.
Yeah,
The
keep
only
reminding me
team.
of that. That was a painful memory for me.
The only team to win a cup in Montreal besides the Montreal Canadiens.
And the only
And they'll
time
never let it happen again.
every time someone tells me about 89 and how, the Canadians lost that series at home, I keep telling them to go screw themselves, except for one person. The only person who ever brought it up to me, and I did not tell him didn't tell him off, was Landy McDonald. I ran into him at an airport. we started chatting. He mentioned, I'm like, well, congratulations on that Stanley Cup win then, sir. Because he'd probably kick my ass.
Patrick Waugh just let him have it because he knew he was retiring. Well, I was like, I'll win another one. It's all right.
Yeah. I got some more championships in my goalie. Skip the dishes.
Isn't that
All right,
Uber
so-
Eats?
Hmm?
Isn't it Uber Eats?
Mm,
I think so.
doesn't matter.
They're all the same.
That's true.
They're all the same.
DoorDash. We'll say DoorDash.
DoorDash. Yeah. Okay. So, any final thoughts, Matt?
I just hope there's a game. I just hope there's a game tomorrow night. To be honest, that's all I give a shit about.
Are you going to be off and able to watch?
I'll be home in time for the game, and then I don't have to wake up to an alarm the next day. So it can go 9 overtimes. I won't give a shit.
Perfect.
I'm on vacation, so yeah, I'm the same way.
There you go.
Treg, final thoughts?
No, but I want to thank everyone who followed me today. I mentioned that I was trying to get to 2,000 before the end of the season.
So needy.
Well, I wasn't actually asking for things. What I really said is I'm hoping to get 2,000. I'm not going to make it. And I went from 1903 to 1974 in the past 2 hours. So that's not too bad.
It was a good year.
Shit.
Yeah. So it's my birth year. So
There you go.
made it to my birth year. I'm happy now. Well, I mean, I got to catch up to you guys. You're like at 5,000. He's at like 37,000. So
Well, if anyone's listening, I need 115 to get to 13,000. So if you guys can do that for me by the end of the year, that'd be great.
how many are bots though, Matt?
Probably about 11,000. There was someone that I used to write for, and they taught me
Oh, Jesus.
bots matter.
Wow.
Yeah,
The only
there's
way-
nothing. There's nothing more important than pretend numbers and no interaction with anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, for me, final thoughts, the promo codes. So builtbar.com, use promo code unfiltered20, save yourself 10% off any purchase. Same promo code, unfiltered20. Go to East Coast Lifestyle, save 20% off your purchases online. And unfiltered20, when you go to seatgiant.ca, when you're buying tickets to games, concerts, whatever, go to seatgiant.ca for your event tickets, and you'll save 35% off of your purchasing fees, which can become a very expensive proposition. So 35% off your fees is a significant amount. So these are our gifts to you to thank you for listening to us. We appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to all our episodes. You've helped make this a little bit more successful than it should be, and we appreciate that. And yes, even you trolls who consistently click and listen just to make fun of us later, we appreciate you. So thanks for listening. And remember, if you were talking about it, so are we.